Welcome to the Baseball Insiders. Happy Wednesday. The Mariners swipe a Ranger. The Dodgers make an injury shuffle. And Ryan Presley has one of the worst innings in recorded history, but maybe Cade Horton time soon. Here to break it down with me, I'm Adam Weinrib. That's my name. That's who I am. Is Fansided MLB Insider Robert Murray. Robert, welcome to the live show. How you doing?
I'm great, man. It feels good to be here. I actually have good lighting or better lighting. It's not my Scottsdale lighting, but it's a lot better. Shout out to my phone. So if there's ever any time I'm going to get a text about a scoop, I figured now would be the time, considering I'm not going to have the access to my phone for the next 30 minutes. But I'm excited to talk baseball. Dallas Goedert is staying in Philadelphia with the Eagles, so that's always good news. But I'm ready to talk ball. I got Cooper next to me. Adam, how you doing? Happy Wednesday. Happy Hump Day.
Happy Hump Day. Happy Football Insiders with the Dallas Goedert news break. We've got plenty to go over today, as well as any questions that you have. So please drop by and let us know in the comments. Today is as good a day as any to watch Baseball Insiders. We're also here at 3:30 Eastern on Friday, and Robert Murray is going to be in the Discord doing a private Q&A in the Rumor Mill tier on Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern time. So if you are not in the Discord yet, no better time than the present to join. All-Stars get priority on your questions in this chat, so ask away in the Discord beforehand if you have a question, or if we see you pop up, we will obviously go to you guys first. We've also got All-Star exclusive videos dropping from Robert, giving some tips on how he got into this industry. People always ask about that a lot, so that's a good resource. Sign up at the All-Star level fun conversation. There's also a live game thread if you want to crash out. I just went to a Yankee game on Monday, saw another loss. I'm on a 9-game losing streak, so you might find me in there. You might find Devin Williams in there as well if we're talking crash outs. You can also subscribe to the Moonshot. You should. In fact, that's our weekly baseball email newsletter where the Fansided MLB team, including Robert Murray, break down all the biggest stories in the big leagues with humor, insight, behind-the-scenes info. You can also read it all on the Baseball Insiders feed on fansided.com. That's fansided.com/baseball-insiders. For Robert's content, news, and notes, I write some weird columns. Eric Cole writes prospect stuff ahead of our noon show every Tuesday. A lot of good stuff from the Fansided MLB staff writer, so go ahead and check that out. Okay, lots to get to, some hot button topics, and some player movement. So let's start with Leody Taveras, who's claimed after being placed on waivers by the Texas Rangers on a very strange day for the Texas Rangers with a lot of player movement. I don't know if we expected him to be claimed. I definitely didn't expect him to be claimed by an AL West rival who usually doesn't spend money or pick up money. So Robert Murray, what say you about Leody Taveras heading to the Seattle Mariners of all places to ostensibly replace Victor Robles?
I was asked about this in the Discord, whether or not I thought Taveras could get claimed, and I did not think that was going to be the case. I thought there was going to be teams that were going to be waiting for him to clear and possibly, who knows, maybe become a free agent if the Rangers decided to move on. Or I don't know. I just didn't think teams would be willing to take on that salary. And the Rangers shopped them, and they got very little interest whatsoever. So that's why they put him on waivers. But the Mariners of all teams did it. And that caught me off guard for the exact reason that you said. They don't typically spend money, but they identified Taveras as a fit for them. And they had similar success. Maybe not totally similar, but like there's similarities for sure. They picked up Victor Robles last year when he kind of felt like a broken player and really turned him into a useful guy, signed him to an extension midseason. Taveras is a guy who should provide quality at bats there. He was very well respected in Texas. He's a player that, even though like they obviously put him on waivers and they shopped him, it was still hard for them to move on from him, just considering the respect he commanded in that clubhouse. But overall, good move by the Mariners. I like that they're spending, gets them closer to 54% wins. So that's good for them. But yeah, no real gripe at all for me from the Rangers from the Mariners side. The Rangers, they obviously decided to shake things up. I know we're going to be talking about that here in a little bit, and they felt that it was best to move on from Taveras at this point.
Yeah, and they go ahead and bring in former Mariner, Bret Boone, of all people, to be their new hitting coach. 6 runs yesterday at Fenway Park, so I think we can call that move an unequivocal success. No notes. But that's straight off the podcast circuit. So theoretically, Bret Boone went from our competition to the Rangers hitting coach. I did not see that coming. His brother Aaron went from ESPN to the Yankees dugout. And now this almost feels like the Sean Casey route, who is someone who I forgot was the Yankees hitting coach for like a month and a half in 2023. There goes Bret Boone to the Rangers dugout. Even his brother didn't really know until over the weekend. I'm not only surprised that he got the gig, I'm surprised he was in the running. Did this send shockwaves through MLB, or were people just kind of like, hey, people do unconventional stuff all the time now. This is what we've come to expect, the unexpected.
I don't know if what I necessarily sensed was surprise. I think Bruce Bochy at this point, people are not going to question or doubt him, considering that the resume that he ultimately has. But I don't think there was much of a search here. They really identified that they wanted to move on from Donnie Ecker, and they placed or Bruce Bochy ended up calling Bret Boone here, and Boone initially thought he was inquiring about like appearing on his podcast again. And then all of a sudden, next thing you know, Bochy's like, hey, we're going to be making a change. Like Ecker's going to be out. Would you be interested in becoming the hitting coach? And obviously, like, he was very intrigued considering that he ultimately got the job, but I don't necessarily think he was going out and looking, but this was a unique opportunity for Boone because he's got a lot of experience with Bruce Bochy, a guy that he knows very well, very familiar with him. And he really couldn't say no to Bochy. And he even said as much to the Rangers media the other day. So I don't know how the hire is ultimately going to end up looking, or how it's going to work, but obviously they got 16 hits, 6 runs in the first game. And I believe if they average 16 hits every game, that's going to be a major league record. So they're off to a good start there for the Rangers. Time will tell, but I'm not doubting Bruce Bochy. I did think they could look at some other names, but it seems like Boone was really like the number one choice here.
And relationships matter. So like you said, not necessarily a shock when Bruce Bochy and Boone are close. Bruce Bochy is the one making the decision who he wants as a confidant, and positive energy, could help.
For sure. And there's other elements to it too, is Donnie Ecker is a pretty analytic heavy guy. Obviously he's got like on-field experience too, so I don't want to just call him an analytic guy because I don't believe that'd be accurate. But one thing they targeted here with Boone is he's a baseball guy, former player, can relate to the players. And we've already heard talk from Rangers people already that he's relating really well to these guys in the clubhouse. And one in particular was Jock Peterson. And I read a really good story today. Can't remember which Rangers beat writer, but I'll try to find the story at some point here. I can't do it during the show because I don't have access to my phone, which is unfortunate. But he's already bonding with Jock Peterson over bats. And Peterson, like, he calls that one of his weird things that he connects with people about. But he's doing that. He's like Marcus Simmons already talked about how excited he is to pick his brain. I believe the former major league experience is obviously like it's helpful, but it's going to help him establish credibility in that locker room right away, which can only be a good thing for them.
I'm going to go back to the outline in 1 second, but I do want to dip in and address a question before we move on, just because it is breaking to an extent. So I want to talk about it before we head back into the plan show. Doc noting any insight on Arenado being scratched for today's game. No reason given for the scratch. This did just happen. Nolan Gorman will play. Katie Wu tweet late scratch, reasons undisclosed for Nolan Arenado. I'm going to guess that sounds more ominous than it really is. I'm going to guess probably not a Wednesday, May 7th trade, but I'm going to throw it out there to you just so that you can let me know if you have heard anything or any reason to believe that we got to be on Arenado watch here.
I have not heard anything to suggest that our Arenado trade was close or imminent by any means. I even saw John Heyman the other day mention that, like, obviously he's a great fit for the Yankees, but not necessarily like a player that they've expressed interest in. So I don't think it'll end up, and it comes down to money is exactly right. And if the Yankees do spend money, would imagine it. I don't know. I don't expect this to be a trade. Maybe it's an injury of some sort. I don't know. I might decide to take my lighting off for at least 30 seconds so I can send some texts. So I don't know if Joanne, you can put it in our chat here if that's okay with us or okay with you, because you're the boss here. But I don't expect it to be a trade. So we'll see. I got the green light from Joanne, so I am about to go very dark here for a second. So my apologies, everybody.
Yeah, we got the green light to remove the white light temporarily. But we'll check in on that. Thank you for the question. Reasons undisclosed. I mean, also, if this is an injury, like, you could not create probably a worse distraction for a St. Louis Cardinals team that was riding high on owning Paul Skenes. But now all of a sudden we have another concern to add to the books. And Nolan Arenado had done a lot to raise his trade value. So if not now, you want to see that momentum continue headed towards the deadline. You definitely don't want to be seeing it stunted with an undisclosed scratch. So again, thank you for the question. We will get more information if we have it, but otherwise, it's on our radar. Also on our radar, another injury in the NL West and a team that got walked off by the Miami Marlins last night. So obviously, panic time for the Los Angeles Dodgers. Their season is over, but it may restart tomorrow. So look on the bright side, Dodgers fans. Teoscar Hernandez out, grade 1 adductor strain, and grade 1, obviously not grade 2, but still, that's going to be a while. James Outman's in, Hai-Sung Kim staying, and just became a little bit more essential after getting the Shohei Ohtani endorsement. This sounds crazy to extrapolate too much about just one injury, but Jackson Merrill is back. The San Diego Padres 0-1 in the Jackson Merrill era, thanks to Austin Wells and Wandy Peralta. But the Dodgers lose one of their top performers, and the Padres get a crucial name back. And with that division, including the Giants, being tighter than we ever expected entering early May, does it sound crazy to say that the NL West could be won or lost over the next few weeks, or in a division that could come down to a game or two?
I think I saw you pose this question, Adam, and my first initial reaction was like, no. But actually, yes, like it can, because it could come down to a game or two. And with the amount of injuries that the Dodgers have at this point, both pitching and offensively, like that's gonna be a pretty sizable impact for them. I don't expect them to bottom out or anything by any means, but their depth is definitely being tested right now. And I don't know. It's just from the Padres' perspective, they're playing great baseball. Obviously, what happened the other night with that bullpen blow up was not great, but they're playing extremely good baseball. And with the Dodgers' depth being tested, they're gonna have to play some really good ball here, because this is the time where the Padres getting out to or building a cushion in that division for the lead is going to be crucial, because Dodgers are going to get healthy. They're going to come pushing here. And they're going to be the Dodgers, and especially since you can expect them to also add at the deadline. But I think you're actually right. Like, I think, well, actually right. That sounded a lot worse than
For the first time ever, Fansided host Adam Weinrib makes a valid point.
Yeah, May 7th, 2025. Adam Weinrib was finally correct. Yeah.
Mark it down.
But no, I think that's exactly right. And I still am not discounting the Giants either. I know they're not a perfect franchise by any means, and their bullpen has been tested so far, but they're still very impressive. By the way, Kyle Harrison, I know it wasn't a super leveraged situation yesterday, but it was to finish the game out. He looked really good, and that smile that he had at the end of the game, he might have his confidence back. That's something to watch there for the Giants.
Yeah, it looked like a high leverage situation until Ryan Presley with the gas can on the mound in extra innings. Giants with the game of the year yesterday, says Cole Dunstan. Certainly was, and a game that Ryan Presley would like to forget. The stuff has looked diminished to start the year. He is battling injury. He has not been used in leverage for a while. The Cubs, running low on options yesterday, attempted to use him in extras. It did not go well. Noting that he is compromised, it does feel like we may have a problem here that has to be addressed. Not necessarily a Presley is cooked forever problem, but something that probably has to shift and change on the Cubs depth chart.
100%. And they're going to have to figure out exactly what's going on here with Presley. If it's the injury or it's all the innings that he's pitched in throughout his entire career, catching up to him, or what exactly is going on. But taking him out of that prominent role in the bullpen, at least for temporarily, might not be the worst thing in the entire world for them. Kind of think of what the Yankees are doing with Devin Williams. Obviously, they're different stages of their careers for sure, but they're both proven, established veterans. So I could see the Cubs considering that as an option here for Presley, but it's become pretty clear over the last however long that the Cubs are going to be heavily in the pitching market, whether it's starting rotation or it's bullpen help. They should be in the market for both. And I really hope that Tom Ricketts and that ownership group opens up the wallets at the deadline and allows Jed Hoyer to actually spend, because they have a really good opportunity here to make a deep postseason run. And Kyle Tucker is just completely changed that team. Pete Crow Armstrong, the fact that he's still in the bottom of the lineup there just shows exactly how good that offense is. And their one real big hole with the Cubs is third base. And they obviously were heavily in the Alex Bregman market in the offseason, and just makes you wonder like what that team would look like if they had Bregman, because their offense is the best in ball now. I mean, with Bregman, like that would have been pretty crazy, but they absolutely have to go out and target pitching, because if they don't, then it could be another early playoff exit, and who knows what happens after that.
Going across the NL Central, and we obviously touched on the Cards when we talked to Arenado. We got great questions, but I do want to just briefly mention Paul Skenes and the Cardinals, because you're not going to avoid the Cardinals. You know, you're not going to be just rejiggering your rotation if you're the Pirates every time the Cardinals come up on the schedule, but over half of Paul Skenes' career losses now against the St. Louis Cardinals. And yesterday, like me at Yankee Stadium, right? I'm on a 9-game personal losing streak. Start to look at little things, and I'm like, am I cursed? That's kind of where I'm at if I'm Paul Skenes yesterday, where you take the slim lead after he pitched his ass off to start the game, gets touched up as soon as he takes the lead, and that game ends 2-1. You pitch perfectly well. You come down with another loss. This isn't real. Obviously, Paul Skenes can beat the Cardinals, but Cardinals fans are going to run with this. We are at the point where this is officially a thing that is going to be discussed, and you never want a thing on your ledger if you're as good as Paul Skenes is.
No, for sure, and you're right. Like, Cardinals fans are going to run with this because he hasn't beaten them throughout his entire career. But I mean, in the last year or so, he hasn't beaten them, but he's still got an ERA lower than 3 against them. I believe it's like 2.75, give or take, which is really good. I would say, if anything, the Cardinals pitching staff owns the Pirates hitters, which I feel like all of baseball at this point could say that they own the Pirates hitters, because they honestly stink. Besides a few guys there. Shout out to Bob Nutting. But no, the Skenes is like, the Cardinals do not own Skenes. It's the Pirates just not having a good offense at all. That's really been the bugger, or the bugaboo there. Skenes was not great though yesterday, or I think it was yesterday that he pitched. It was just not a good outing overall for him. And the Cardinals took advantage of it. And I hope that he'll be fine. Obviously, it's just one bad start, but I really hope that the Pirates can end up putting together some decent offense for him, because if they do, I mean, not that wins like really matter, but 20 to 25 wins for Skenes feels very possible if he actually had a decent offense in front of him.
And if he finally gets the Cardinals off his schedule, because counterpoint,
that was good. That was very good, Adam.
Yeah, counterpoint, they own him. It's just inevitable. Sorry, Paul.
No, the only owning that happens here is myself and Adam with Hunter Miser. That's the only one that's the only one to write home about.
Yeah, and when Adam occasionally makes a good point, we'll have to emphasize that as well. Really good questions. So we're gonna get to a whole bunch of them. I want to get George Corey his giant shine here as well. He called us one of the best podcasts in MLB, which that's how you get your question answered. Flattery will take you very far. George, you're our third co-host. Welcome to the show. No, but thank you for the question. The Giants, please tell me they are looking to upgrade at first base. Lamont Wade Jr. has been bad at the plate. Thank you. The Giants are in a position to buy and to be at the top of that market, I would say, because if anybody laughed at them and doubted them for wanting to compete in a stacked division that included the buy the world Dodgers and the Padres, fans are still sort of hanging their hat on the real NLCS being the NLDS last year, but expectations were high for San Diego coming into this year too, despite some key arms maybe being on the trade market and everybody trying to trade for Luis Arraez. People may have laughed at the Giants for getting involved, but they're involved. It's May 7th. They are in the mix in that incredibly tough division. So first base upgrades, any other potential upgrades you think the Giants might be looking at?
They've been looking at first base upgrades since the offseason, and they just did not find anything necessarily to their liking. I'd never really heard them involved with Pete Alonso, even though I thought that made a lot of sense for them. But their big money seemed kind of was like it was destined to go to Willy Adames. And I know they were connected to Corbin Burns, but I really did not hear that strongly throughout the offseason. I was pretty adamant about that on the podcast throughout the offseason. I know there was a bunch of people who disagreed with me, but they were never really I don't think they were that seriously involved. Mm-hmm. So their resources were limited for either the rotation or first base. So I wouldn't expect a necessarily huge name for them if they do decide to make a change at first base. I know that they see Lamont Wade Jr. He's been hitting into some bad luck and has been hitting the ball hard, especially of late. So there's signs that it could be turning the corner there for him. But I would think that's going to be one of their primary focuses at the deadline, because I don't know how much longer a contending team can necessarily put up with LaMonte Wade Jr.'s production or lack thereof at first base when you're seriously trying to compete for a World Series.
Agreed. And thank you for the question, George. It's been an offseason concern. It remains a concern. And they are not the only team looking for a first base upgrade, though. Red Sox question: what do the Red Sox do at first base? They started Abraham Toro last night. I can answer that one. Abraham Toro. No, but longer term, going to combine that with a question coming in from Justin later. Is Anthony Rizzo just going to be unsigned? Chris Cotillo sort of thought, hey, let's connect the dots here. Maybe Anthony Rizzo can get the Red Sox to the trade deadline at least, and he's not somebody who he'll need a ramp up, but he won't need a Kyle Gibson-esque full pitcher spring training. I'm sure Anthony Rizzo has been staying in shape, or maybe not, because I did see an Instagram of him wearing a fanny pack. He is getting ready to live dad life, so maybe he doesn't want to play this year, but Red Sox first base thoughts and maybe Anthony Rizzo thoughts mixed in there as well.
Yeah, I mean, the obvious answer, I mean, besides Abraham Toro, is Devers, but ultimately doesn't seem like that's going to end up happening there. So it just leaves things in a really unique spot here for the Red Sox, and that Tristan Casas injury really, really, really hurt them, and they were counting on big at bats for him. They were thinking he was going to end up taking the next step this season, and now he's lost for the season with a really bad knee injury. And Rizzo makes a lot of sense. That's the first name that popped into my head once I saw the Casas injury. And I believe he wants to play this year. So this would be the best chance for him to get major league at bats. At least once he's ramped up and ready to go. I do wonder if they wanted to, this is again speculatory. This is super speculatory on my end. But they have Yasmani Grandal in the minors, and maybe they can get some sort of first base time from him. Veteran guy, he's not going to provide much offense. He'll hit in the low 200s, at least based on the last couple seasons. But yeah, I think Rizzo makes a lot of sense. They can lean on those internal guys like Abraham Toro, which I can't believe we've mentioned Abraham Toro on this podcast as much as we have. So they got guys for sure, but none of them are going to be Casas unless they make a blockbuster deal at the deadline.
Yeah, you heard it here first, though, folks. Honest Abe Toro is the Red Sox guy moving forward in perpetuity. Thank you for the question. Of course, they are definitely going to seek upgrades there. MLB deadline news, any early trade rumors you're hearing, Adam? Yes. Yes, there are. Hope that answers your question. No. Appreciate the question. As always, I mean, any early trade rumors we hear are probably going to center around Luis Robert Jr., who has been asked about by Mongo. Any buzz on a Luis Robert trade with Memorial Day approaching? We know the White Sox are very open about their ambition to get something done here at some point. So he may be the first domino to fall, unless the Nolan Arenado scratch is for trade-related reasons. But any thoughts on Robert Jr. and destinations? I know in the Discord, we've been throwing around the Phillies a little bit. We've been throwing around the Dodgers a little bit. Curious where you're thinking now.
I wouldn't be surprised unless he ended up going on a tear if the White Sox held on to Luis Robert Jr. again, because his value is not what they believe it can be. They internally, I think the White Sox view Luis Robert Jr. when he's clicking as an MVP candidate kind of guy. Like, they think extremely highly of him. He's still signed. He's controllable at a very team-friendly rate for sure. So they can be patient here. It's a similar situation to Sandy Alcantara. It's not as bad as what Alcantara is right now. So maybe the White Sox end up getting a nice size offer and ultimately do the deal. But I don't think it's necessarily a lock. He'll be talked about plenty for sure. But I'm not convinced he's going to be moved.
Interesting, and appreciate the question, Uncle Ted. The Phillies do have Brandon Marsh. He's hitting 143 and subtracted 0.8 WAR and 49 at bats. So I think they would take Luis Robert Jr. if he was available at that price. The Phillies really intrigue me this deadline. I was talking about this with Phillies people. They intrigue me all the time, but I was talking about this with Phillies people this week. Dave Dombrowski's mandate has obviously always been to sacrifice future pieces for current success. He built an incredible core there. He re-engaged the fans. He reached the World Series. And now we are in a place 2.5 years after that World Series run where most of the core pieces are the same. It's getting a little stagnant from a Phillies fan perspective. Jesus Luzardo helps. Christopher Sanchez emerging helps. But It's the same people that Phillies fans are familiar with. The enthusiasm waning a little bit because the playoff distance peaked at the World Series, then to the NLCS, and then last year to the DS. We're moving backwards, not forwards. Dombrowski hasn't made an earth-shattering move in a while because he has installed, like Marsh, the comments saying he's performed well in the past. He absolutely has. They have plugged a lot of holes with high performers. And so why do you really need to move on? This might be the last chance for Dombrowski to sort of orchestrate one of his famed preferred major shakeups because it's getting a little bit stale there. So I wonder if this is the summer when he sort of throws the chips in one final time in an attempt to salvage this current core before Kyle Schwarber hits free agency, before you have to start turning things over to Painter and Aiden Miller and company. So I guess curious your thoughts if I'm just saying insane stuff or normal guy stuff.
No, you're saying very normal guy, not insane stuff. So good job, Adam. Twice now on the podcast today. You're doing good work over there. Sorry, I'm being mean. But no, I think you're spot on here with what you're saying about the Phillies. And they obviously they have made plenty of deals in the past here where they sacrificed prospects for immediate success. And the Marsh trade is the exact instance that I'm thinking of where it came back to bite him square in the ass. And like Marsh has been a productive guy for sure. But Logan O'Hoppe is going to be one of, if not the best catchers in baseball. He is awesome. And I know they had JT Realmuto there, so there was not an immediate path to playing time there for O'Hoppe. But that trade in the moment felt like a lot for the Phillies to give up. And lo and behold, they ultimately, that was not a deal that they should have made. But speaking of their current core, I'm going to say it again. They need to extend Kyle Schwarber. He is an awesome leader. He's a tremendous power bat, and that voice and that bat has not gone stagnant in that locker room. But they do need to make a shakeup of some sort, whether it's adding somebody, whether it's trading somebody. I don't necessarily know what they're going to do, but this feels like an opportunity where Dave Dombrowski can consider a lot of different options. He can be creative. There's going to be a lot of things that he ultimately explores, and they explored it in the offseason for sure. But maybe the midseason is the time for them to shake it up and make a big addition because this roster, I think you're right, stagnant, feels due for one.
I'm curious. I think like I know a lot of Phillies fans in my life. They're sort of it goes back like Trey Turner got a mega deal. He's been good. Has he been mega deal good? Like Kyle Schwarber hasn't gotten paid. That's something that has to be taken care of or dealt with. Incremental upgrades like, I mean, Luzardo, great move. Max Kepler's really worked. But we're missing, we love that it's got that classic vibe of remember the 2022 Phillies. And the fans are saying, I do. Yeah, they've gotten less far the last 2 years. And now I'm getting to a point where, and the Super Bowl champions, by the way, play in the same parking lot. So expectations are high. You have to match the rest of the city. The Sixers can't. So now it's on Dave Dombrowski to potentially make a move there. And the comments saying Brandon Marsh is an 800 plus OPS everyday center fielder. I can't see real good. Is 747 800? I don't think it is. That's what he OPS last year. Sorry to be snarky. Adam May.
Thank you, Adam.
He did OPS 800 in 2023, to be fair. Very good player, just busting balls in the comment section. Anything else in the notes, Robert, that we did not cover? Nolan Arenado, again, like LB said, I assume, is on his way to the Bronx. The Yankees have decided overnight money does not matter. He will be in the lineup tonight against the Padres. Probably not. But anything else?
I have not gotten any texts, at least not that I think so, because I have my phone also hooked up to my laptop, and I have not
in lamp mode. Yeah,
yeah. I haven't seen any texts come in, so we'll see. But I don't believe that Arenado has been traded. I'd be really surprised if that was ultimately the case. But we'll see. But nothing else new over here in the notebook. As of this point, I'm excited to see if the Cubs call up Cade Horton at some point in the near future, or if they go with Chris Flexen, almost combined his first and last name, which would have been kind of embarrassing. Yeah, but anyways, I don't know. All my baseball thoughts at least have been said today. So I'm excited to. Well, this is gonna be my last show for a little while, Adam. This is it's a very sad time.
Yeah, we are going to, and we will miss you. Robert will be back. This show, the Baseball Insiders that you know and love, going to keep on trucking. while Robert is on the road for a little bit. So next week's show plus Friday's show, we're going to be going with some fun, high-profile special guests, some internal fan-sided guests who you may or may not know. I will be announcing guests early. We're also going to try for a couple of big names, and I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. One that I don't think you're expecting is probably going to be joining us over the next week and a half. So get ready for that, perhaps two. So yeah, Robert, wish you well on your journey. We'll welcome you back when you are ready. And thanks everybody for coming out to watch today. And hopefully we see you Friday and then again into next week. I see Celtics in 6. Nice try. I'm going to go Celtics in 5. Go Celtics. We love them. No, pretty good game 1 win for the New York Knicks. Although what I'm hearing from Boston media is the Knicks didn't actually win the game. The Celtics lost it because they missed 45 threes. I'm sure the Knicks defense had nothing to do with that. I've yet to hear a Boston team take responsibility for their loss, by the way. Sometimes you just get beat, Boston. Sometimes you get beat. It wasn't a bad call with 7:48 left in the first half that you can see in a screenshot that was responsible for your loss. Or, oh, we would have won if the weather was better, if the fans were louder. I saw that post-game show, too, from the court in Boston. Nick came in and took a win. Not saying they're going to win the series, but sometimes you lose to the other team. They come in and grab one. That's enough of that, though. Robert Murray, thank you for joining me, as always, today. Q&A in the Discord tomorrow, still on?
Still on. Still will be on. I'm very excited for that. Always get some good questions there. Hopefully get some Philadelphia Eagles questions because go Birds. But no, the Q&A is still on. And then after that, I am going to be on the road fishing for a week. We'll have no cell service, essentially. So it's going to be a nice unplug. And then it's going to be all systems go because the trade deadline slowly but surely getting closer.
Slowly but surely on the way. We appreciate everybody joining us in the ramp up to the trade deadline. Obviously, we will have wall-to-wall trade deadline coverage as we approach June and into July, the best month of the year. Maybe? I don't know. Pretty great month. October, also good. December, good. April, May, bad. But we appreciate everybody being here. Weird time of year. We appreciate all your questions as well. Join us in the Discord if you are not there. Join us on the Baseball Insiders feed on fansided.com, fansided.com/baseball-insiders, where you will get the moonshot is there when published, but you can also get it straight to your email if you subscribe to the moonshot. So follow that link. Robert Murray, another good show, unless you are Ryan Presley or Paul Skenes, then a bad day for you.
No, exactly. But it was a good show. Felt good to be here. Thank you everybody for the questions. Adam, I appreciate you. Everyone in the comments, I appreciate you. Joanne, our lovely producer, we definitely appreciate you. And I will see you back here in a week. And Adam, will see you back in here on Friday.
That is true. We will see everybody on Friday, normal time, 3:30 Eastern. Some fun guests yet to be announced. I will announce them, and hopefully we'll see some of you there. If you're an audio listener, join us on the audio feed as well. Until next time, I'm Adam Weinrib for Robert Murray signing off. See you on the Baseball Insiders.
Thank you, everybody.